Hi, welcome to Bari-Nation, where we support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty.
You've just tuned into a podcast that welcomes you into a community, a resource center, and a safe place that powers your journey towards personal wellness.
Our goal is you leave us today feeling hopeful, inspired, and ready to live your best bariatric life.
Hey friends, it's Jason. I wanted to talk to you a minute about some of the things that I've learned in some of the Bari-Nation support groups that I'm in. I've learned that in attending these groups, the biggest theme that sticks out for me is that I'm never alone. Doesn't matter what stage I'm in, what trouble or issue that I'm having, I find somebody who's either been through it or is currently going through it. The overarching theme of the supports in Bari-Nation and the membership community are, meet people where they are, because you've either been there, you're going to be there, or you can help somebody that is there. Join us at bariNation.mn.co today and see what it's all about. Can't wait to see you in the nation.
Hello, friends. Welcome to our last podcast episode of 2024. How the hell that happened, nobody knows, but here we are.
Right.
Here we are.
So fast.
So fast. So we are excited to be sitting down together, the three of us, and we are going to be sharing some things with you all. We're going to be reflecting on our biggest challenge from this year, what our most profound aha moment has been, what our biggest win for the year has been. And then we are really excited to kind of do two maybe new things. We have some bold predictions that we are going to be making about where we see the bariatric world, obesity treatment going in 2025. And we are also thrilled to be sharing with you our support theme for the year ahead. And it is one that we are freaking stoked about. It speaks to our hearts and who we are as patients. It is really going to help us all tap into kind of like a tool or a skill that we can use for the rest of our lives, not just in our bariatric journey, but one that has really been profound for us, especially where we are right now as patients and as Bari-Nation, as an organization. We are really leaning into our support theme, and we're excited to share it with you guys as well. So sit down, get comfortable, tune in on YouTube, right? Or really find a place that you can just join us for this conversation. And know as well, if you're listening or watching, we would love to know what your biggest challenge was from this year, what your aha has been, and what your biggest win is. So leave it in the comments of this episode, wherever you are watching or listening. Join the conversation with us. And if you are a member of the Bari-Nation community, we're going to be asking that same thing in that space. So absolutely add your voice, add your takeaways to this conversation as well. All right. Well, I say let's dive in. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Our first thing that we're going to share, our biggest challenge from this year, our biggest challenge. And I think, Jason, we're going to start with you on this one. What's been your biggest challenge that you've overcome this year?
I think for me, it's really just stepping into a bigger role, not just in Bari-Nation or the community or any of that, but it's really just in my life, period. I had let kind of my previous job and things just kind of run me down to a point where I was really back to spectating in my own life. Like I would do things, but I would kind of not really step fully into the role. So that, we talk a lot about the commitment phase, but I really feel like I was not in the commitment phase of any part of my life, not just my bariatric life, but life in general. I hadn't really committed to anything because I was just surviving. I was in survival mode, get to the next day, whatever that looked like, scraping by the skin of my teeth, all those things. And I didn't realize it until I was out from under that cloud of really the fact that I had just let everything weigh on me to the point that it's essentially, I metaphorically gained all of my weight back and then some, because I had so much weight on me from just general life that it wasn't until I got out from under all of that much like my bariatric life, that I was able to kind of clear the clouds away and see just how much I wasn't participating in my own life. And it was hard to see, but it was eye opening at the same time, because I had these procedures to really live this second part of my life to the fullest. And I wasn't doing that, even though I had shed, the majority of the weight that I had gained. Like I still wasn't living to my full potential. And it was upsetting, but at the same time, it was freeing to the point that I didn't let it continue to I didn't beat myself up about it because I had let it happen. I was just so happy to be out from under it that I just took that and kind of used it to propel myself forward.
I almost feel like your challenge is also like your biggest aha. It's your biggest win, right? It's kind of all one and the same, because it is really challenging to realize I am not living up to my potential. I'm not living the life that I want to. That's brutal, especially when, like you said, you have bariatric surgery, so you can live this different life. And when you're given it and then you realize I'm not actually doing it, that's a challenge. But you certainly have pivoted that into your win and an aha. So yeah, awesome. Freaking rad. Miss Nat, what about you? What's been your biggest challenge from this year?
I think mine is pretty similar to Jason's. 2023 was probably one of the best years I've had in a long time. I got to travel a lot, see my Bari fam a lot. I got to, do things that I otherwise maybe would have not been able to do because of what we've built through Bari-Nation and otherwise. Even though I had been let go, it still felt from my job, it still felt like I had all of this opportunity and things were happening. And then I got home from retreat last year, went through the Christmas season, hit 2024, and I was like, cool. I have nothing to look forward to. I don't have a job. I'm in a tiny town that I don't like. I have no friends that are within, drivable distance to me. It really was like, we talk about those dopamine crashes. It was like I was on the highest of highs in 2023. And if I'm being completely honest, 2024 has been one of the lowest years I've ever experienced.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of other reasons I will not be going into, but it was hard. This year was really just isolating. It was frustrating. Yeah, it was a lot. I didn't think
It's all good.
Cry.
Oh, tears are welcome here.
It was a really hard year.
Yeah.
And I think that was also my lesson of not being afraid to be isolated, if that makes sense. Which is hard for me.
You got through it really bravely. And you're still doing that. You're still being brave. You are taking risks. You are saying yes to things that are hard to say yes to, right? You are boldly going in the direction that you want your life to go in, despite it all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's challenging. That's a lot.
Yeah. I just, and I've had a lot of conversations with April and Jason and with people in our community that have felt very similarly this year. It's not been an easy year for a lot of people. And, I just think that that's been the biggest thing for me. It's just like allowing myself to be in the quiet with my thoughts, unfortunately. It's hard. And that has been the biggest challenge. But, I think also just the lesson in all of it is just being able to trust that that isolation is okay. and you can still move forward in that isolation. It just looks and feels way different than what we're used to seeing on social media and what we're used to like talking with our friends. It's different. And I really had to be okay with sitting with myself this year. And it was really scary, but I did it. And I feel, like you said, I feel bold and I feel ready to keep going. But this year has been one of the hardest years of my life.
Thank you for sharing that. I know it.
Yeah,
I know it sucks.
it does. And there have been so many people that I've talked to in BariNation, outside of BariNation, that I know have felt the same way. And it's possible to go through it. You just have to lean on your community. And that was the biggest lesson that I learned this year.
Yeah. It's impossible, I think, to kind of separate our wins from our challenges, right? And those aha moments, because when we are in the thick of it, when we are at rock bottom, when we are at that dark place, it's where change happens. It's where we realize if I don't do something differently, if I don't kick something loose, if I don't pause and pivot, I am going to be stuck here forever. And you just don't want to be stuck there. But it's almost like sometimes that is the thing that has to happen for change to happen. Right. Like, I mean, Jason, it's what you were talking about, right? You got to this place where you were like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is not, I didn't do all of this to be here.
Right. Well,
Right?
and complacency, as uncomfortable as complacency can be, especially in an uncomfortable situation, there's an odd kind of paralyzation that happens when that's going on, because you really just can't, you need to move out from under it, but you can't always, you don't know the way. So you just kind of sit in it. Like there's a lot of times, but Nat, to your point, like this has been one of the hardest years that you've had, but this is the first time I've seen you shed tears over it. Like you've been so brave in so many ways. And I applaud you for not only being able to move through what you've moved through, but to be able to share it and be so brave to talk about it today, even with the tears. So, we love you. We support you. We're here for you.
It almost, you get through these moments, like you said, Jason, of like, I am paralyzed of what, I don't know. It's almost like you're paralyzed to even think about what could be, because you're so far in this rock bottom space. And that's where I was for the majority of this year. And I kept asking the question, like, why can't I just get over this hurdle? Or why can't I just, get thrown this bone, or, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden it does happen. And then you just have to take it and be okay with taking it. And just like, this move, we talked earlier in another episode that, I got this job and they were like, can you be here in 2 weeks? And I said, yes, even though I had nowhere to live or nowhere to, it's just those types of things. When the opportunity comes, you have to take it. And that was the lesson, was like, it might not always come, but when it does, you just have to take it. But thank you. This year, I'm so ready for 2025. And I was, this is a ramble, but I was also very disappointed because this was my 30th year. I had so many hopes and like, oh, this is a new decade. This is going to be such a fantastic year. And I was like a month in and I was like, what the hell is this? What? I'm sorry.
I did not order this. I'd like this to go back to the kitchen. This is not, yes.
Everyone told me, oh, your 30s. Everyone told me your 30s are so great. And I'm sitting here like, what? This is great. But, being removed from the situation I was in and moving forward, I'm like, okay, I can see the difference. in previous decades.
And I might push back a little bit on that, right? Because your 30th year is the year that things actually changed.
Yeah.
And when we think about change, we think it's going to be this big, bold, amazing, beautiful thing. But you have to, like no mud, no lotus, right? All of those little things that people say, right? You have to get to the meat of it. You got to get to the bottom of it for it to really go in a different direction. And that is what this year has been all about for you. It is the change that you wanted in your life. You just don't realize that the change is going to feel so awful, I guess.
Because no one talks about it.
Yeah.
Like leading up to my birthday, everyone was like, you're going to have the best decade. Like it was all of this just like, oh, I loved my 30s, like romanticized. And then I got there and I was like, this is bleak. Okay. Like I don't want to be here. Yeah. So it was just I hear what you're saying. It was the expectation that was put on me when I was saying I'm turning 30 versus what actually being in your 30s is. That was hard.
I mean, the good news is you got 9 more years to get it down. I mean, that's what.
Thank God.
9 more years. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, and that was the other thing, if we talked in another episode we just recorded prior to this, that, things have been different with BariNation and I've been different on my social media. And this is why, because I just literally couldn't. Couldn't do the things that I was doing the year prior. I physically couldn't.
Yep.
And that was the difference. Like, oh, there's so many people, like friends of ours, that have been like, oh, let's go live and do this big thing. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then the day comes and I'm like, nope, can't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nope. I am fresh out of everything.
Yeah. I have nothing left.
This year has absolutely sucked the life out of, I think, all 3 of us. And I think that the aha or the lesson is that sometimes you have to get the life sucked out of you so that you can create the life that you actually want, right? Like it just all kind of has to fall apart so you can take it in a different direction. Pause and pivot, right? Pause and pivot. My year, very much like all 3 of you, has just sucked. There has not really been, I mean, and I don't mean to say there's been amazing things in this year too, but on a whole, it's been challenging. It's been an absolute slog. It has not gone the way that I thought it would at all. It has had me questioning every decision I've ever made. It has had me just in the worst headspace that I have been to in a very long time. Like at my therapy session the other day, I was like, oh, I finally figured out the word that describes this place that I'm in right now. It's rock bottom. That's what it is. I'm here. Wow. I thought it was going to look like Bikini Bottom. It doesn't. It's an absolute wasteland. And it's not Bikini Bottom. It's rock bottom. But there is hope at the bottom if you have that one little piece, and that one little piece is what our theme for next year is really going to be all about. And I think the thing that the 3 of us have really leaned into this year is, despite the awfulness, despite the pain, despite the bleakness, all these things that we're going through, we have leaned more into each other and the community than ever before. And I really think that this is our aha moment for all 3 of us, because in the thick of it, when we didn't know what to do, when we were at rock bottom, when we were like losing touch with reality, all 3 of us tapped into the community as patients, as members, not as leaders, not as founders, not as people that have a podcast, not as the I word that we hate so much, freaking influencers, right? Like, We literally tapped into the community and leaned in hard. My family went through it a couple months ago, and I absolutely detached from reality. And the thing that kept me tethered was the community. I logged into BariNation each and every day. I looked at that very good day checklist. I gave myself permission to do one thing, check one thing off. That's what I'm going to do. I went to so many support groups and meetups, camera off, didn't say a word, just was there just so I could know that like the world still exists and I have to remain somewhat present in my bariatric life because that's the only thing that makes sense right now. That's the only thing that is still, that I feel like is still mine because everything else got blown up. My challenge this year was the freaking year. And my aha, the thing that I don't know, it sounds weird to say, but I have proof of concept now is hot damn. The community is what kept me going. And I know it's the same for all three of us because we talk about it all the time. Because all of a sudden, wasn't it a couple of weeks ago? All three of us, without knowing it, we went to the same support group and we're like, oh shit, what are you doing here? Oh, it's like, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks, but thank God I'm seeing you now. And it was literally like, we were like, okay, yeah, no, we are all on the same page. We all need this as patients, as members, as humans, and we are all here. And none of us, there was no business. It was no anything. It was just like, oh, okay. Yep. Hi. We're here.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the beauty of it is that we can utilize what we helped build, and our ahas really came out of us being able to do the hard things, but we learned that we can do the hard things with the proper support. Because without the proper support, we're just sitting there on baby giraffe legs trying to figure out how to walk. And yeah, it's not the best. So with the support, we know not only can we do the hard things, but there's, because there's lots of fear involved in what we're doing. Like none of us have ever been to the lows that we were at. And the fear that encompasses that on where to go next, it's like being buried in rubble. Like you make the wrong move, the more pressure you get on top of you because the stuff shifts down and you can't find your way to crawl out. But the beauty that lies on the other side of that fear is immense. And if you don't crawl towards it and find it, like it's just going to be there with nothing, you're not going to tap into it because you can't find it. But it takes really digging out of it with the proper support to get where you want to be.
The word that continues to bubble up for me, and I think for all three of us, was hope. We found hope in the community. We found hope in each other. We found hope when we gathered with other people and heard how not only, like, it's not about hearing the struggles, that's a part of it. But for me, I got so much hope when I just heard people saying, I'm struggling with this, but here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm going to try. Or I listened to this, or I read this, or I came across this, or what do you guys think about this? Like, I'm thinking about trying this. There was so much hope there. And I knew it was there, but then to actually experience it in the moment was so profoundly powerful. I mean, it really changed the way that I did life in that moment. And I didn't know hope lived at rock bottom, but it absolutely does. It absolutely does.
And for me, I think it's trust. I mean, we talk about how, prior to our surgeries, we didn't know how to trust ourselves and, food or, taking a walk, all these things. But I think it was also trust in my community to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I know every Thursday at 8 a.m. there's a commitment meetup that I can log into, and I can be a patient and I can share what I need to share. And there will be people there that can take, Christine Mason, our dear friend, she's on our leadership team. She always says the voices in her head are assholes. And the voices in my head this year especially have been horrible. Mm-hmm. And it's an echo chamber up here. But if I can say something and have 5 other people be like, oh, that's not crazy. to think this, or like, that's not outlandish to expect this from another person, or just whatever it is. Or like, I think I'm going to try and like a new protein powder. That seems kind of weird because I don't like protein. No, that's not crazy. Try something new, like having a space where you can trust that there's going to be people that get it or that can be there for you, and the hope. It's both. It was both for me this year, the trust and the hope together.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and that's a great segue. Which is right. What's our biggest win from this year? What are we really taking away to be like, yep, I'm very proud of that. That I'm counting that as a win in my column. I think mine is, I mean, I don't want to say I survived it, but my win is that I really realized how powerful my thoughts are. I figured out how to do the things that I know I need to do as a patient in the most challenging and difficult moments. Because if I can do it through that, I can do it at any time of the year. It doesn't matter what life throws my way. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, because I've proven to myself I can do the things in the hardest part of life. That's a huge win for me. Jason, what about you? What's your big win from this year?
First off, that's a huge win for anyone. So good job for you. We appreciate that. I think for me was I recognized the fear, I harnessed the fear, and I used it to kind of as a springboard for myself. So there was a lot of things that I was concerned and worried about, but I used the bariatric community at large to kind of help with that, because I knew there were things that I wanted to do. And I knew that if there was any place I could do it, it would be around other bariatric patients who get and understand me. So, I used retreat this year as my kind of springboard for all of those things. So there was lots of things I was concerned and worried about, but I used that space to be able to conquer a lot of those, because I knew that if there was any place that I was going to be understood and, embraced and appreciated, was going to be around my bariatric people. And it was absolutely amazing to say, like, that's kind of where I came up with the whole, beauty lives on the other side of fear thing, is I was, completely concerned about a lot of things, but retreat helped transform all of those things into beautiful, beautiful situations and progress. Like we were talking about it before, like I sang in front of people, and I was never going to ever do that ever. I wanted to always, but I never thought that I could do that, or that I was good enough, or that all the things that creeped into my head that I didn't think I was going to be able to do. And not only did I embrace the gift, share the gift, got positive results from the gift, and now want to share more of the gift. Like there was lots of things that happened that I was not that I never thought I'd be able to do. And I kind of just harnessed all of the things that happened this year and turned it into something beautiful, not only for myself, but for others.
Yep. Amazing. Miss Nat?
I think a lot of what the both of you said is how I feel. I think the only thing I would add is, yes, I can do it. And I also need help from other people to get through it. And that's where that trust comes in. I have a hard time trusting people because I've been let down a lot in my life. Yeah. And I'm one of those people that I will drop anything to help you. I will. And I expect that a lot of times from people that I care about or that I consider friends or family. And there were times leading up to this year where, no, you can't always expect that of people, which is fair. But I want the pendulum swang really far the other way, where I thought, cool, I'm just not going to ask anyone for anything ever, because they let me down all the time. So I'm just going to do it myself because I can. And so for me, it was, yes, you can do things on your own. And you also can ask people, and the worst thing they can say is no. Okay, then you just ask another person. You know what I mean? So it was the trusting in my community and the people that I've set to put around me, and also the trust in myself to be kind of the powers combined for this year. But not one or the other is bad, and not having one and not having the other isn't bad. It's just, it is what it is. And you just gotta, okay, that's fine.
Yep. Yep. The three of us really want to acknowledge the role that you all have played in our lives this year. We have each of us gone through it, and you have been there for us. You've supported us in ways that maybe you don't know. Every time you watch or listen to this podcast, you are helping us. Every time you comment on a social media post, right? Or you join the community and you attend something that we're at, you are helping us get through that. And you were also by our side when things looked and felt different because they had to, right? Jason and Nat transitioned into new jobs. You guys saw me constantly because I was holding the fort down while they did that. You know, we were on social media and then we weren't. And then there was shifts and change. I mean, it looked and felt different. And we know that. And we are so thankful that you were by our side, supporting us and rooting us on through it all. We say it all the time, right? It's one of our mantras in BariNation. We have to pause so we can pivot. And this year has kind of felt like this big pause for BariNation. We bit off a lot. We have a dream of really changing what bariatric care looks and feels like for patients. In the pre-op and the post-op, right? In all of these stages, we're doing a lot, and we didn't realize how much, I think, work it was going to take. We didn't realize what this was going to be, but we put a lot of faith and belief and trust in behind creating something that we knew that we not only needed, but other people did too. And we took this huge leap of faith and we said, well, we're going to do this. We are going to do this because we believe in it. And we're so thankful that we did. Holy crap. It was not what we thought it was going to be. It's a lot, and it's worth it. And it's been worth it because you help us make it worth it. We're doing it for you. We're doing it for us. We're doing it for the millions of people who have made the decision to have bariatric surgery, for the millions of people that have already had it, and for the millions of people who are just wondering if this is the thing that could really help them become metabolically well. So we just have to acknowledge you. We have to thank you. We have to let you know how grateful we are for you and all of the support that you have showed us and continue to show. It's been a lot, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you for making it the amazing journey that it is.
I would like to add to that you all have made it so much more than what we could have imagined. You know, when we say like it's a lot, we don't mean in a negative way or a burdening way. We're like, holy crap. Like we had no idea how many people we would reach, how much of an impact a community like this would make. I mean, it's because you all show up for yourselves every single day in BariNation by listening to the podcast, by engaging with us on social media. You showing up and you thinking, oh, this is, I'm taking, it's like, no, you've exponentially blown our minds at how big this has become. And the pauses that we're talking about are because we just didn't realize how big this really was. And so I just wanted to clarify, like we had no idea. We just had no idea how big this was going to be. We were just three people that met on the internet and we thought, this seems cool. And now it is really cool. And it's also just a lot more work and a lot more of an impact than we had originally realized. And it is because of all of you. And we're so grateful.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an amazing thing to see something that you think is going to be a good idea turn into an amazing idea. And once it starts
Yeah.
to impact other people in a positive way, and how much it can grow and continue to blossom right in front of your eyes, because people also believe what you believe and they believe in what you built. And it really does touch us at the bottom of our hearts from watching what we kind of conceived on paper become what it has become.
Yeah.
We, you know, the brightest spots in our year so far have been from you all, from the things you guys have sent us, from the conversations we've had, the connections we've made, the time we've spent together. It's just been phenomenal. And you guys have really helped pull us through some of the toughest times we've had. So we appreciate you very much.
It is deep and profound gratitude that we have for you. We are so thankful for you, for this community, and for what we are building together, because it has gotten us through this year. Truly.
Yeah.
It's what we're actually carrying forward in 2025. So when the three of us were talking about what we want for ourselves and our community next year, it's a tool that we have all leaned into this year. It is curiosity, and it's relentless curiosity. It is this deep desire to get to the place that we want to go, right? It's acknowledging that I might not be there right now, but I'm going to get there. And how I'm going to get there is by remaining curious. It is by saying, I wonder if, or I wonder what would happen if I wonder if I just shifted my mindset a little bit and use this word instead of that word. I wonder what would happen if I tried this new protein powder, right? I wonder what it really would be like to book that consultation with a bariatric surgeon. It's curiosity. It is staying relentless in that pursuit of wondering what could be possible for us. And when all three of us were kind of like really at that moment, what got us through was curiosity. It was, I wonder if I just did this. I wonder if I thought about this differently. I wonder if I just leaned in a little bit to community. That was the thing that really got us through. So in 2025, you guys, our theme, our direction that we are going is curiosity. It is learning how to embrace and be relentless when it comes to curiosity along our bariatric journey. So everything that we are going to be doing in 2025 is focusing on that, on understanding how we can use this as a tool that will power our journey forward. And the cool thing about this is that we're going to learn how we can tap into curiosity through our bariatric lens. But once we really understand that, this is a tool that can be applied in any facet of our life, not just our bariatric life. So 2025, guys, is going to be about relentless curiosity. And we are so flippin' excited to be exploring that with you all. It's something that means a lot to us. It's something that we, all three of us have utilized recently and are excited to continue to carry it forward into next year. So let's make a shift and wrap up our conversation by sharing our bold bariatric predictions for 2025. Ooh. So I heard this on another podcast that I listened to a few days ago, and I was like, ooh, okay, this is something that I think we could do as well, because I think all three of us have an idea for what we think bariatric care, obesity treatment is going to look like in 2025, right? So bold predictions about what we see lying ahead, right, in our community and for obesity treatment. And Nat, I think we're going to start with you.
Okay. I truly think, just from shifts that we have seen, working with ASMBS, Trio Foundation, the conversations that we have had with folks behind the scenes, I am really thinking that we're going to see a lot more incorporation of post-op support in bariatrics. And maybe that's me also being radically optimistic. But I'm going to put it out into the world that, these medical centers are going to realize that, post-op care, even the pre-op preparation care that we provide in BariNation is important and does make a huge impact on the success of bariatric patients for life, not just for the first year. So my bold prediction is that we'll see a lot more of that in practices and in other ways. But yeah, more community, more pre and post-op community care.
I support that bold prediction. We because we see the power of it. We see how profoundly people's lives are changed in the most positive way when they have access to that level of care and support and community. Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world. So I like that. That is very bold of you. All right, Jason, what is your bold bariatric prediction?
Mine's kind of a twofold. I think it can be summed up best by saying adjunct treatment, I think, is going to be more in the forefront, less kind of stigma around revision as well as GLP-1s after post-op, because I know a lot of people are still, in the different platforms that we use, kind of connecting with the people, you see that there is still a lot of stigma. And even among people in the bariatric community, they still don't understand why you would go have the surgery and then onboard a GLP-1. And it's just people needing to understand the disease of obesity and how chronic it is and how it will outsmart, the treatments that you've, onboarded. And you have to continuously adjust the treatments that you're given, to be as successful as you want to be. So it's one of those things that, some people don't need it, and that's awesome for those people. But some people do, and there's no reason to, throw shade or stigmatize something that doesn't need to be stigmatized. So I think in 2025, we're going to see a lot more of that coming to the forefront. And I plan to definitely lead the charge on the revision side, because Natalie and I both know that it doesn't mean that you failed just because you had revision. So, yeah.
Bingo. Oh, I love that. It's so empowering too for patients, right? Because when you've been struggling with the disease of obesity for your lifetime, right? Or for decades, for years, you really hit a wall. And when you hit that wall, if that shame and that stigma and that bias is kind of what is pushing back on you, it can be really hard to move forward, to seek treatment. But having meaningful conversations about what the disease of obesity is, how it impacts life, how it changes your body's ability to use energy, it shifts the conversation and it opens up more possibility in people's minds. So yeah, adjunct treatment, absolutely.
And I'm definitely going after Dr. Joe for a punch card, because I think I'm at 9 people now that I've referred to him that have had revision successfully. So I'm just saying, I don't know what I get with my punch card, because I'm kind of tapped out at this point, but I'm just saying something. I need something. Lab coat, stethoscope, something. Just make me look official. I don't know. Let me do rounds one day. I don't know what this plethora holds, but I'm just saying there's something needs to be.
Yeah, BariNation rounds for a week.
BariNation rounds with a BariNation lab coat. I don't even have to have anything specific. Just put the BariNation logo on my lab coat and let me hang out.
I think that should be a conversation we have with him soon. Definitely. Oh, God, I love it. Well, my bold prediction for 2025 is we are going to see the number of bariatric surgeries tick up again. GLP-1 medication has absolutely disrupted that treatment modality. And now that these medications have been on the market for a while, and people have had the opportunity to either onboard them, right, or try them, I think the conversation is coming back full circle to bariatric surgery remains the most effective long-term treatment for the disease of obesity. And it's not a one or the other. It is just like what you said, it is a modality of treatment, and it's the most affordable. It's the most accessible to people still. And as these medications continue to be studied, they continue to change in efficacy. It's not as a sure bet, I think, as bariatric surgery is. And I think people are just growing in frustration because the promise of these medications is great. And it's true. I'm on a GLP-1 medication myself still, and it's been amazing, but I've lost access. I don't know how many times. I just got word from our insurance carrier that I will again lose access to it. And it just leads to frustration. And I think more and more people are just going to experience that. And they're going to get to this place where they say, okay, surgery is the choice for me. These other adjunct treatment modalities are going to be available to me, but I need to onboard the most effective tool in treatment. And I think part of that bold prediction, I hope we can play a role in, because we see our job at BariNation is to educate people about bariatric surgery, what it is, why it's effective, what life after surgery looks like and feels like, right? We can be the messengers of hope. We can be the success stories that people look to. We can amplify the success stories of the thousands and thousands of people that we have, in our corner. That is what will move the needle when it comes to people accessing care and treatment, and just encouraging people to just book a consultation, right? Just go learn more, go talk with somebody, because we know what it's like to bang your head against the wall. And we're telling you, you don't have to. You can move in a bold direction. You can onboard this very effective treatment, and life on the other side of it is probably different than what you think. And we're here to share with you just how amazing that life can be, right? Even though we just talked about how this year was horrible, our years would have been monumentally worse had we not onboarded the treatment of bariatric surgery. So, right, bariatric surgery doesn't automatically make your life wonderful and roses and, happiness, always. No. Life is going to continue to life. You just have more of your ability, more of your capacity to move through it, because you have more of your life back. The disease isn't clouding it. The disease isn't, stopping you from doing these things. You just have the ability to be more present when you need to be. So that's kind of my bold prediction for 2025.
I love it. I think that's a great one.
Right? So we hope you guys are leaving this episode with a lot of hope and excitement for our year ahead. We are leaning into curiosity. We are excited to do that with you, and we invite you to join us in that. We are going to be talking about curiosity on all of the places that we are. So on social media, in our newsletter, in our community, on this podcast, right, with the educational things that we're excited to be doing with all of the experts that we have in our community, with your surgeons through practice partnerships. It is our goal in 2025 to really lean into curiosity and to imagine what is possible if we do things a little bit differently. I think one of the things that all three of us have really had an aha moment about this year is, you go into bariatric surgery thinking, I'm going to have to learn how to do everything new. Everything ahead of me is going to be new. But that's just kind of not really true. What this journey is all about is learning how to do the things we already know how to do differently, right? We know how to eat. We just have to learn how to eat differently. Our why changes, right? Our why becomes something different. We all know how to talk to ourselves. We do it 24/7. We just have to learn how to talk differently to ourselves. So, right, one of the things we talk about all the time in BariNation is one of our goals is to help people lower the temperature when it comes to this bariatric journey, right? If we're running hot, if we're always like, up here with it, it can feel overwhelming and it can feel undoable. But when we lower the temperature, we can get more accomplished, and just making that little mindset tweak about like, no, it's not about learning something brand new. It's about learning how to do what you already know how to do differently. That's a very different discussion. That's a very different mindset. So We just invite you to join us on this ride. We are here to support you. We are here to learn alongside you, and we're here to be patient with you. And we are just so grateful for this year through all of its struggles, and we are so hopeful for the year ahead. So that's kind of my hot take on it. Jason and Nat, I'd love to hand the mic over to you for your parting message for our friends.
I would just say, we understand that everybody goes through things. And if we can be any type of testament to, life on the other side of those things, please allow us to do so. Because not only, as, we talked about with Natalie, you can do hard things, but doing hard things with support is a little easier. So lean into the support, lean into what you have available to you. If you don't have support available to you, we would love to be that support for you. So just please reach out. Anything we can do, we're happy to do so. And we look forward to 25.
Yeah, I mean, everything everyone has said already, but just adding that, you do not have to walk this journey alone. We say it all the time. Obesity is very isolating as a disease. Having bariatric surgery can also be isolating, as not many people in our day-to-day lives have had it. So they don't really understand. So I just hope that you can lean into BariNation or whatever community you need. That's all we care about. If we can be that community, we would love that. If you have community, whether it's through practice or family member or friends, great. If it's tuning into the podcast every week, just lean on us, lean on your community, and you will go far, and you will have a great long life with your bariatric family and community.
Yep. Awesome. All right, my friends. Well, we wish you a very happy new year. Peace out, 2024. Hello, 2025. Thank you for tuning in today, my friends. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you in the new year.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
That wraps up another empowering episode of the BariNation podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, keep the conversation going by joining the BariNation membership community, where you can attend live support events, access on-demand resources, and find a caring community.
Join us at barination.mn.co. If you found this podcast valuable, help us produce it by becoming a $5 monthly supporter at barinationpodcast.com.
And just remember, at the end of the day, you've got this, we've got you, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.